I'm the free market guy, all right, which is not necessarily the status quo, because we hardly have a pure free market right now. I'm not saying we need to go to a pure free market, but we can get there. And what I'm going to do is show some slides just to give you an idea that having a market plan, sort of an oxymoron, but allowing markets to do policy can work. All right? Saying that you need to have a plan to move forward is not true. Firms need plans, households may need plans, lots of people need plans, but it's not clear we need a government plan for energy. Several things. Markets do disruptive change. Yes, there's resistance, but we have all sorts of technologies that replace the ones before them. And you can look at the different computer technologies, the software. You're probably going to be moving away from Windows-based to some sort of handheld-based and so on. We do get new technologies. We have cell phones that are the classic case of the chicken and the egg that we always hear about. Well, without some sort of standard, we wouldn't have this or that. Who would buy a cell phone if there are no cell phone towers? Who's going to put up a cell phone tower if nobody has a cell phone? I don't know, but we solved that. All right, we didn't have to subsidize them. OPEC as a cartel, they're probably the most ineffective cartel. The only time they manage to drive prices up is when they hit capacity constraints, and this has been consistent over their history. So that's to invoke OPEC as sort of undermining all notion of competition in the oil industry, I think is a red herring. Efficiency standards. I show the diagram. People will pay for efficiency, but they don't want to pay for efficiency where the cost exceeds the benefit. And the benefits and costs may not simply be the kilowatt hours used versus the purchase price. Here's an example. My dishwasher in 1993 did a load in 1 hour and 10 minutes, and it used 9 gallons of hot water. Standards now require that it cannot use more than 7. Why couldn't it use 9 and then have an eco button if I wanted to run it? What's the trade-off? 8 cents of hot water that I save, and it takes an extra hour. All right, that's not a trade-off I'm going to make, and I don't want anybody in DC to make that one for me. All right, how about lights? I love compact fluorescent lights. I put them in every fixture where they fit. They don't fit in every fixture, and they don't keep the gecko warm. All right, so then if you had kids with little lizards and so on, the CFL is not going to work in the heat lamp. I'm willing to let people make those choices, even if they spend more on electricity than somebody in Washington wants them to spend on electricity. Climate change. The fact that the climate is changing, even if some portion of it, even if a major portion of the climate change were due to human CO2 emissions, and that is not the trade-off of how much is done by humans, is not at all settled, in spite of what some people may say. That does not mean that any policy that cuts CO2 is worthwhile. If we looked at the cap and trade program, the Waxman Markey, we did analysis of that. $300 billion a year in lost GDP when you make reasonable assumptions about nuclear energy and so on instead of the ridiculous assumptions that some were made. And what do we get from cap and trade? In 50 years, maybe, and this is not using denier math, this is using the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's sensitivity. A Waxman Markey type bill would have moderated temperature increases by thousandths of a degree in 2050, tenths of a degree in 2100. All right. So even if you believe the bad stuff, by the way, the IPCC projections are nowhere near as bad as the Al Gore projections. Okay. So we need to dissociate those two. You're not going to do much. What we want is to have a robust economy so that we can handle whatever may be coming down the road.